James Franco is an actor whose ambitions stretch well beyond his craft, and he is pretty good at his craft. Just this year, he received an Oscar nomination for his performance in 127 Hours. Franco is also a student, a screenwriter, a director, an author, and an artist. Most of all, he is not afraid to take chances. Just this year, he co-hosted the Academy Awards. He's exhibited his art at the Gagosian Gallery in Los Angeles. All the time, he is pursuing his doctorate in English at Yale. He is taking classes at Rhode Island School of Design, at NYU, and at Columbia. Here is a look at some of his acting.
You want to get Lindsay back? You gotta give her the cold shoulder, man.
I don't know, man. That doesn't seem right, man.
Trust me. Don't call her house. Don't write her notes. And don't sing to her. Jeez, man, we don't want to be friends with you after hearing about that one.
Yeah, Nick. We need our space.
Disgusting.
Yeah, hateful little things.
I love them.
Yeah, me too. You know, spiders can change their color to blend into their environment.
Really?
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
We use synthesized transfer
Yeah.
RNA to encode an entirely new genome.
Hey, I can see through my leg hole.
Thanks, look out, tree! Right, look out!
Congratulations to you. It's like you're part of the machine now. By the way, you can do better.
When I come home to Jack, I don't have to talk politics. I don't have to talk intelligently. I don't have to talk at all. And besides, where's an ugly old man like me gonna find a handsome young man like that?
You're not that old, and you look handsome. Happy 48. Looks like you're gonna make it to 50 after all, Mr. Milk.
You kill anyone lately?
Wow, I miss that.
I really do. Look, I could chat all night, but I have to run. I have a big event to attend. Very, very big deal. But that's what I get for spending my spring between a rock and a hard place. Gosh, I hate cliches, but that was funny, right?
If I'm not mistaken, it is a tradition that the best man gets to lay with the bridesmaids. Plural.
Really? I've never heard of this tradition. Deal.
Oh, you're gonna be so handsome. Who's gonna be the most handsome best man?
Probably me.
Who's the prince with the most dashing mustache?
Me?
Who gives the warmest hugs?
Me, of course.
I love you, Thaddeus.
2 weeks ago, I met up with James Franco at Brown University during the Ivy Film Festival. We sat before the student body in the Solomon Auditorium, and here is that conversation.
Here's what's interesting about you. Your work and your life. Which is more interesting to you?
The work that I've been doing at school, or the projects that I do outside of the mainstream commercial film business, is material that involves my life in different ways. And so, for example, I have just done an art film kind of piece where I've used other people's material, other films. I've cut them up, re-edited them, reframed them, and added a voiceover, my own voiceover. And I call it the autobiography. And it's just about my life, but I've used other people's images to help me tell the story. And so that's an example of how my work, the film business and my life, my story, come together. And I think in increasing ways, or increasingly, it's more common that I bring my own life into the work. And not only do I, commentators do. It's something has happened where people will not, just look at me as a as an actor or a character in a role anymore. Now, you know, there's something else that people are looking at and are curious about, which, you know, I mean, that was your first question. So, I mean, I think something has happened.
And is it good? I mean, do you think the fact that your life is such an object of attention that it may somehow influence your ability to have an audience just see the character?
Yeah, well, when I was a young actor and I was at school, my teacher, my first acting teacher, always emphasized that you shouldn't do shows where you know, come on and talk to people like Charlie Rose, because you'll reveal too much of yourself, and then people will lose the ability to see you as different characters. And people everyone from Al Pacino to Steven Soderbergh I've heard them say similar things. But I don't have that fear anymore, because I'm not only an actor anymore. I mean, I still enjoy acting, but I'm very grateful for the career I've had and all the opportunities I've had and the people I've gotten to work with. But I have this whole other side of my life now, and I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I've been very fortunate. I mean, I'm very happy with, you know, all these there's other performances you could have shown that I wouldn't be so happy with, but everything here, like, I can say, yeah, I did some good work. And so, I've been fortunate. It's not, you know, what we just saw is not just a result of me or stuff I've done. It's also been luck. It's been, you know, there have been gifts. There's been, you know, just opportunities handed to me. So I consider myself very fortunate, and if that went away, you know, tomorrow, and I didn't have an acting career anymore, I don't think I would have cause to complain. I've been pretty fortunate up to now. And
it gives you the opportunity to do all the exploration you want to do.
Exactly. So it's kind of the risk I had to take. It's something I told myself, if I want to do, you know, these personal projects that don't really fall in line with a traditional kind of acting career, or, you know, I mean, I've been acting professionally for like 15 years now, and it's just, you know, you just kind of are told certain things, or you just learn certain things, like, oh, that's a good career move, or that's, you know, something you should do for a good career. And I had to say, well, if I want to do these other kinds of projects, I'm going to have to
sacrifice career.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. The ironic thing is, when I did go back to school, then I got, you know, the opportunity to work with some of my favorite directors, Gus Van Sant and Danny Boyle, and so it's not like I've said, well, I'm never going to do a good movie again. But
when you went to UCLA and then dropped out, it was because of a love for acting.
Yeah. You
went back to UCLA because the acting thing had what?
Right. So no, it's true. I went to UCLA when I was 18. I had applied to Brown. I didn't get in. I really wanted to go to art school, actually. I was more of an artist when I was a teenager than an actor. I only started acting when I was about 17 or 18. So I wanted to go to art school. My parents weren't big on that idea. They didn't want to pay for it. I actually really wanted to go to RISD, but they didn't even let me apply. They said they wouldn't pay for it.
Rhode Island School of Design.
Right, where I am now. And
where he is now, have entered into one of their programs.
And so the compromise was that I would go and I could study English. My father wanted me to study mathematics, but I could study English if I went to a regular university. And so I was there, and I moved to LA, and half the city was acting, and it was something that I had also wanted to do for a long time, but had only recently started. And so I hadn't applied for the acting school at UCLA as an incoming freshman, and so they said I'd have to wait until I was a junior to even audition for that program. And that 2 years sounded like a lifetime at that minute. And so I left school and I went to acting school. Then about 8 years later, I had been working. I had done some things I was proud of. I was on Freaks and Geeks. Right. I played James Dean, and actually that was the first time I met you. Was at the premiere for James Dean. Exactly. And seems like just yesterday.
It does.
And but then, and I put everything into my acting. You know, I would sign on to movies 8, 9 months in advance, and literally prepare every day for these roles because I thought I was just obsessed. I wanted to be the best actor I could be. And the funny thing about acting is, in film, is that your performances are filtered through this larger apparatus. Right. And you can learn all you want about a character. So let's say I'm playing a medieval knight. Like, I could learn, read all the histories, all the, Le Morte d'Arthur that I want, but like we're only going to tell one story in that movie. And so at a certain point, the research becomes excess, and maybe it'll inform your performance, maybe there'll be some nuances that you have that you wouldn't have if you didn't do all of that. But about 70% of the research would just go kind of unused. It would never be seen in the movie. Mm-hmm. And that was very frustrating to me, where, if you're writing a book, or if you're directing a movie or writing a film, then you choose what is in the movie. But as an actor, usually you're given the role beforehand. And so your control's limited. And that's fine. I mean, I've accepted that. I've accepted that film is a director's medium. Right. And that when I sign into a movie now, I know I'm helping somebody else tell his or her story. But while at the same time I accepted that, I also said to myself, well, I want to do other things. If that's how it's going to be. If acting is going to be, this job where I'm servicing somebody else's vision, then I want to have other outlets where I can,
So after having several movies that didn't do as well as some might have hoped.
Well, that was the kind of eye-opener. Right. I mean, that's what I did. These movies that I just plainly shouldn't have done. I worked very hard on them, but they were movies that I would put in the category of things people said, well, this would be good for your career, but not necessarily things that I would say to myself, oh, this is the movie I've always wanted to do. I wasn't always dreaming of playing Tristan and Isolde, but they said, somebody said to me, this
will make your career better.
Somebody even said to me, back in the studio days, when the studio had everybody under contract and had much more of a say in which projects actors did, directors did, and everyone did, somebody said that was better because the actor doesn't know. The actor doesn't know what role is right for him. And I was a young, impressionable guy, and I thought, okay, maybe I don't know. Maybe this is a great thing.
But it turned out it wasn't a great thing.
It wasn't a great thing, and it was an eye-opener. And I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And maybe nobody will believe me, but I really couldn't continue acting in that way. I couldn't continue acting if it was going to be like that, doing movies where I didn't enjoy the process and I didn't like the result. I mean, I couldn't work that way.
So you went back to UCLA.
Yeah.
To study
English.
And
creative writing. Yeah.
And creative writing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have been on this pursuit, even though you've had a lot of successful movies. It seems that the less you wanted it, the more it came to you.
Well, yeah, that was the weird thing. I went back to school. And then I did that movie Pineapple Express, and I was at a point where, you know, in those other movies, I'd been working so hard that I would come to a set, like on Tristan and Isolde, I would come to a set with a very firm idea of how I thought the character should be played. And a lot of, you know, my ideas clashed with the directors. And so, and it was hard for me to let it go because of all the work I'd done on my own. And so my experiences on set were very contentious. I was not an easy actor to work with, sadly. So Pineapple Express was really the first film where I just said, okay, you know, I'm with people that my old friends from Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, this is Seth and Judd.
Yeah, and then, you know, David Gordon Green, like, worked in a similar way, very improvisational, and I just thought, all right, I don't need to have control here. I can just roll with what they're doing, and I'm just going to have fun. And it changed my approach to filmmaking. So that was also a big kind of turning point at the same time that I went back to school. And then I did Milk, and again, it was like a movie that I could, you know, be really proud of, just being a part of, and
directed by Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, probably my favorite director. Right. And so, I don't know, it was a weird turn of events. I guess maybe when I stopped being so stubborn.
Just think about what you're doing with your time. I mean, this is what people ask about you. You're working on a PhD at Yale, yes? You're going to the Rhode Island School of Design, yes? You're going to the New York University's film school.
No, I'm done.
You're done. You graduated. You got your master's degree in film there?
Momentarily, yeah.
Momentarily.
I've done with my thesis.
What did you do for your thesis?
NYU was film, so I made a feature-length film about the poet Hart Crane.
Oh, right. And you're now going to make a movie?
I made it. It will premiere. I just showed it at Boston College, a very rough cut, because the biographer who wrote the biography I used for my film, Paul Mariani, teaches at Boston College. So we just showed a rough cut, but it'll officially premiere at the Los Angeles Film Festival in June. So that was...
So you went down to North Carolina, my home state, to the poet school, Warren Wilson.
Warren Wilson, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
So people ask, you're in search of what?
Well, I just like, these are all interests that I've had since I was a teenager. I was a painter when I was, before I was an actor. I studied English, you know, in school, and so these are all interests of mine, and I like the idea of being able to tell, you know, deliver my subject matter in the best form possible. And so I don't think every subject is fit for a movie, but it'd be better told in a book, or, you know, like if you want to make a political piece, poetry probably isn't the best way, but, you know, maybe make a documentary or something like that. So I like that freedom, but I also like the idea of examining how these different forms and mediums interact.
And how they blend together.
How they blend, what their limitations are.
How do you do it? I mean, you think of any of the number of things you do and making 3 movies a year. And in fact, last year got nominated for an Academy Award for one of those performances.
Yeah. And I was going to school while I was doing that performance, so nobody could say that I was being stretched thin. I got nominated for, so I mean, I don't know what I could have done differently. So, yeah, I'm stretched. I mean, I'm very busy. I've had to.
And that's what you like, being busy.
I find that if I have free time, it just gets filled. I do that to myself, but I also don't feel like I need to be the best at everything. I am pursuing these things not to like necessarily master them. Right. I'm pursuing them in what I think is a very humble way, and I am happy that I'm just engaged with them. And I think one of the reasons that people are skeptical of an actor who writes a book or comes out with an album is because they're skeptical of celebrity. That you know, an actor can get a book published where, you know, somebody that does not have that kind of celebrity maybe will have a harder time, and that's true. But I never said I was going to be the best author. I'm just trying to, you know, write the best book that I can. And I never thought it was going to be, you know, Ulysses. But it's the level that I wanted to tell it at.
Yeah.
And if I aimed for Ulysses, it would be horrible. I'm happy at the level I aimed at, and I think I'm very happy with the book, and that's kind of how I feel about all of these things. I never said I was going to go out and be the best director or the best writer or anything. I just want to do these things because there are certain subjects that I want to tell in a different way.
Some people would look at you and they say, he understands that this gives him a kind of different persona, and that builds into an image of James Franco.
Mm-hmm. Some bloggers like to say, like, I'm a super weird guy. Now, I don't know why, like, what's so weird? I'm like going to school. Like, I could be doing a lot weirder things. I mean,
and you did when you were a teenager.
Yeah, I did some weird things, yeah. But part of that, I think, is because of certain projects I've done. So on General Hospital, I play a character named Franco, right, who's a bad artist, and he is also a serial killer. And he's creepy. He's creepy. Yeah. He's a creepy guy. But there's enough kind of crossover with my own life that people maybe look at that and say, oh, that's James. But I guess what's the interesting thing about that project is, or when people start making comments like that, is we're all performing. I mean, we're all performing. I'm performing right now, you know? I mean, it's you, it's Charlie Rose. I have tons of respect for you, and you're asking me certain kinds of questions, and we're at Brown University, and so if I was with a friend, you know, I'd maybe say stuff that had similar content, but I'd be behaving differently. And so, and so that's why, like, Tom Cruise can, like, show a lot of energy in Jerry Maguire and get, you know, applauded, and then if he jumps on the couch on Oprah, like, people don't like that. No. But there's still performances. Exactly. I mean, it's hard to draw the line.
Right.
And so I guess if my projects make people think about me and my life as a possible performance, I don't mind that. Maybe that's becoming part of my project.
But take what you just said. Let's take General Hospital for a second.
Yes, let's talk about it.
You initiated that, did you not? Because you and your friend had been thinking about soap operas and maybe this and that, and then you said, why not a real soap opera?
Right.
And so you write a letter to the people at General Hospital, or you call them up, or whatever happens, and you say to them, I've got two conditions. One is, there's got to be an artist, right?
Yes. Yes.
And the second is, he's got to be crazy.
Yes, you got it.
And so the name of the character is Franco.
They came up with that.
That was their idea.
And I didn't know what would happen. But what did happen is there was a huge reaction. People said, what is he doing? You know, big papers, I don't know, New York Times or whatever, we started writing about a soap opera. Yeah. And so I realized, wow, this is, you know, something has happened here. People are looking at this with fresh eyes. There has been a rupture in
looking at soap operas with fresh eyes.
Not just that, but just hopefully performance, entertainment, you know, that I came from the film world. People, you know, say there's kind of no hierarchy, but there is a hierarchy. People view, you know, films as a higher form of entertainment than soap operas. But actually, there's, you know, I guess they're dying out. Maybe they're going to reality shows and Jerry Springer or something, but because all the soap operas are being canceled. But there is a large number of people that find, you know, satisfaction in watching soap operas, and that's their level of entertainment. And I started thinking, well, yeah, why is this kind of any less? I mean, they're telling stories, they're just telling it in kind of a different way, and actually, underneath half of the huge budget movies that are in these, you know, cineplexes don't have stories that are any deeper than what on soap operas. It's just that they have more money to turn people into vampires and have them, you know,
and more fireworks and more fireworks.
Yeah. Right. So I thought it was a real chance to kind of examine that, and I was getting also great feedback from artists that I respected. You know, they would say, "Wow, James, you are lucky. There are a lot of artists that I know that would kill for that kind of forum or you know, that kind of outlet." And so what happened is there was a weird blending. It's like I'm going on the soap opera, and I'm not trying to wink, or I'm not trying to disrupt the soap opera. I go on the soap opera, and I'm trying to act as well as I can with the material they give me.
You like the idea of sort of contradictions. You like the idea of somehow bridging all of these arenas.
Well, I do for several reasons. A lot of energy is generated. You know, there was a huge response to that. Whether it was good or bad, there was a huge response. People perk up when you mix high and low. But in addition, I really feel that pop culture has become a major fabric in our lives. You cannot escape it. So we're way past the age of romantics where you can wander around the woods and that is your source material. I grew up watching television every day. Now people grow up engaging with the internet every day. And that becomes part of our lives. That is part of our makeup. It's just what you're engaged with. And so I feel like that is part of the material that I'm going to use for the work that I do. And so in this autobiography piece that I'm talking about, I've used films, other people's films, but in a way I feel like they're just part of my life too. I'm inextricably engaged with that stuff. And so that is my source material, just as much as my life experience, relationships I've had, other movies, other books, other television shows, internet content, whatever, is now part of my life. And so I feel free to use that, whether people consider it low culture or not. That is what everybody knows, and part of the artist's or some artists' job is to tell us who we are, and so I need to use that material.
Some will say it's really interesting simply because James is doing it.
That is that's kind of the phenomenon about that I was just talking about with General Hospital, where that project only worked because I went from Spider-Man films to soap operas. That's the only reason it got that kind of attention that it did. And so that is dependent on me being me or my career or everything that I've done before. And there are other projects like that. Now, that persona, whatever that is, links all these projects.
Your persona links the projects.
So you could look at everything I'm doing and saying, God, he's just in every direction. But for me, I feel like
the central point of it all is, at the center of it all is you.
Yeah, and I feel like they all share something, whether, you know, and it's not just that I'm doing it, it's that I'm trying to bring something genuine to each of them.
I'll tell you
whether my craft is at the top of its game or not, I'm trying to bring something genuine to each.
What's interesting about it is you're not afraid to take a risk.
No, because that's what artists are allowed to do. Actors aren't allowed to do that in the same way. Actors are supposed to deliver good performances and then let the movie speak for themselves. Artists and musicians have a different medium, and they're allowed to bring more of the personal to their work. There's an artist that went to RISD named Ryan Treecarton. He makes these videos that are, they call it like art in the age of YouTube. And they're wacky kind of videos where the characters, they're, I guess, narratives. If you look really hard, there are narratives, but it's really hard to find
a narrative.
Even understand what they're saying. He modulates their voice so drastically. But he said, look, we are a culture that is getting more and more used to embarrassing ourselves. I mean, you look at YouTube, everybody's just posting everything that you know what I mean. So you can see everything, and embarrassment used to be something that really held me back. Like, oh, I don't want to do that because I just didn't want to look bad.
But now
I don't care as long as I know that my intentions are pure, or I have the right motives of trying something new, trying to find something new. And if that means that I'm going to fail, it's okay. I'm going to take that risk.
Are you saying you're going to some place in which acting may not play as central a role to your life as it does now?
Certainly. I mean, if you look at where I spend most of my time, it's not in acting anymore. I mean, I'll sign on to a movie and I'll do my homework and I'll work as hard as I can because it's my job, and I owe it to the film and the director to do that. But in my own time, I'm not going to acting class. I'm going to other kinds of programs, and so my life has become something else, at least for me. But I need the acting. I need.
You need it because?
Because that's what makes everything else more vital. Because I'm this actor that's not supposed to be doing these other things, and that's what gives these other things a lot of energy.
And it also might inform the acting, so it'll take it to another level?
Maybe, but I mean, I feel...
You feel what?
I feel like...
What?
I mean, I'm not saying it in an arrogant way. I just feel like I am comfortable with my acting. Like, I feel like, yeah, I want to challenge myself, but I feel like if a director asks me to do a role, I usually feel like I won't sign on unless I think I can do it, and I usually, feel like I can do it. I'm never. I can't remember going on to a movie and thinking like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna pull this off.
Yeah. How tough was 127 for you? Because it's you and your face, and I mean, this is a very contained picture.
Yeah, like that's an example where you could say, oh, it's all on your shoulders. There's no other actors for most of the movie, and isn't that scary? And it's like, no, I mean,
You knew going in you had that performance in you.
No, Danny certainly pulled a lot out of me, and I think he got the best of me. But I knew, I thought, okay, here is a performance that is dependent on a lot of physical actions, that they're telling the story through these minute little victories and failures, and that is what is propelling it. The guy wants to get out and he can't, and so all along the way he's going to be trying to get out and then not getting out and then trying again, and then facing himself. So I thought, well, if they pull it off in the right way, it'll be a very vital performance, because in this strange way, it's following the old adage of show, don't tell. So it's like in the age of, in the Elizabethan age, the playwrights had, there's no subtext. Shakespeare's saying everything, right? Then we move to the age of realism and there's subtext, right? Well, now in this movie, it's like, there's not even text, it's just all like behavior.
Yeah.
And so it'll be like an even more kind of immediate experience, and the audience will be reading the signs of behavior rather than hearing the character say what he's feeling. But in addition to that, when the character does speak, he's speaking to this video camera. And that's oriented in such a way that although he's ostensibly talking to his family and loved ones, he's talking right into the lens, and so I'm going to be looking right out at the audience. So it's almost like a YouTube video or Skype or something where I'm talking like directly to the audience. And so it's like a first person kind of delivery to the audience, or one-to-one kind of engagement. And so again, that's an even more, even closer kind of engagement with the audience. And I thought, all right, if we have a good director, and Danny Boyle being one of our best living directors, then this could be a very dynamic film. And so, and I think that's what it is. I mean, the response I got was like, God, it's crazy. Like the character is just stuck in a canyon, but it felt like the most action-packed, movie I've seen.
Right. The dynamic was there.
And I think that a lot of that is because of that. And I guess I like to think I had that feeling before.
Well, Danny says that you came to him and you said, look, what do you want James to do?
I don't know why he said that. Like I was talking about myself as another person?
Well, yes. Did you say it or not?
I don't know about that. I challenged him about that after I heard him say that. I don't normally think that way of like, what does James want to eat right now?
But he basically said, you said, look, you came to him and said, these are the tools I have, these are the tools I have, which ones do you want to use?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that way, where as a younger actor, I thought that I should control the performance. Now that I've gone through film school and I understand what directors have to deal with, directors, at least the kind of directors I like and the kind of director I want to be are collaborators, right? Not dictators, but collaborators.
Right.
And that means they're collaborating with all these different departments. And the actors are just kind of one department. Maybe they're, a very important department, but they're a department. And so you want to work with actors that are working with you, not actors you have to fight with on set. And so now when I sign on to a movie, I want to be like the wardrobe people that I see who say to the director, okay, what do you think? Okay, all right. I mean, that's how every other department works. It's just that in the acting department, sometimes it's not that way. And there's, I'm sure there are cinematographers that demand like, no, I shoot it this way or whatever. But like, I now view acting as a collaborative craft that and my characters as collaborations that I work on with the director. And so that's why I say to Danny, I can,
I have these
tools.
tools.
What I can do, and
I hear
tell
you.
me what you want.
See, here's what's interesting too about all the rest of your life. You are interested in poetry, and you're interested in writing novels. You're interested in painting. Most of those things are solitary acts of creation.
Mm-hmm.
You also seem to love the idea of collaboration.
Yeah, I do. And maybe one of the reasons that I go to school for something like writing is because it does put me in touch with other peers that are writing, and also my favorite writers, because the fact is, most writers have to teach. And so by going to a great writing school like Brooklyn College or Columbia or Warren Wilson, I get the chance to work with my favorite writers. And And it's akin to, you know, doing a movie with Danny Boyle. I get to work with, you know, one of my favorite directors.
You
And
also you wanted to work with, what was it? You wanted to do Howl because, did Gus do that?
Gus produced that.
Produced it.
It was directed by these documentary filmmakers, Rob Epstein and Jeffrey Friedman, who had directed the documentary about Harvey Milk called The Times of Harvey Milk.
Yeah, and you also wanted to do Eat, Pray, Love, what was it called? I forgot.
Well, that was...
because Julia Roberts was in it. And you wanted to work with Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Because? What?
I mean, I guess the story is like I wanted to kiss Julia Roberts.
No, I didn't say any of that. I didn't say any of that. I mean, I'm just looking at the idea that you take opportunities because you get to work with artists, whether it's a director or a cinematographer or an actor.
And what you know, you look at the payoff, and the cost and the payoff. It was a week of work.
Yeah.
It's a movie that I probably would never see, and I actually still haven't seen. I've just been busy.
You're busy.
But yes, I want to. If I get to go in and work for a week with the queen of that kind of movie, why not?
Fair enough. I agree.
You know, and yeah, I was
and
happy.
It was fun.
It was great. She was fabulous, and I'm sure I learned something. You know.
What have you learned about acting that has enabled you to have the sense that you got this craft, you understand it, you can deliver on it?
Several things. I mean, you need, you know, usually I would say you need practice, and it's a craft. But it's only a craft if you want to play different kinds of characters. Because we've all seen examples of somebody with no acting experience coming in and giving an incredible performance. You see young people do it, or you know, even just people that aren't trained in act. The bicycle thief, right? Non-actor, but the performance is so compelling. Now, I don't even know that actor's name, but I wouldn't then say, I bet he'd make a great, you know, King Lear. Like, I just wouldn't trust his craft to go and do that.
Exactly, right.
So,
an actor
what that says to me is, you should know the roles that you can play, and do those roles. Now, that's not to say go out of your comfort zone. And if you go way out of your comfort zone, then prepare yourself for possible failure. But if you want to deliver the kinds of performances that people respond to, then know what you can do. And what that means, and why you do that is so you can relax into the role. In movies, usually what people, consider good acting is when you don't see the person acting. Right. And that's because the person is so relaxed in what they're doing that it feels like living. But that's just one kind of acting. I mean, if you said to, Brecht, like, what's good acting? He would say, well, like, I want the actor to, like, draw a ton of attention to himself and the fact that he's acting. So it's just one kind of acting and what we've grown to expect in, film and mostly American.
How much of what your skill as an actor comes from acting classes? How much of it comes from within you?
I don't know. I went to school for 8 years, so I mean, I can't ignore that.
You got something out of it.
Yeah. So, but now the roles that I am happy with and I'm proud of are ones where I kind of go with my instincts. So whatever that is inside me that's telling me to do certain things, I guess you could say that's me. I don't know where it kind of came from.
There's some convergence between skill and instinct.
Yeah.
When you did the Oscars, were you in your comfort zone?
Yeah, I was. The Oscars are a sensitive subject.
Why? Why is it sensitive? I mean, you are A man who has tried everything. We've already said that you are not scared of what people might say. You want the experience. You're prepared to go out there. You're not trying to be Ulysses. You're trying to be...
Yeah. And I said it beforehand. I did a little like Twitter thing before the Oscars. I said this could be horrible. And it's not because I went out there and tried to sabotage it or because I was ill-rehearsed. I mean, go and look at the script. I mean, all I'm saying is the next presenter is 60 degrees of separation from me, Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, how hard is that? I don't need rehearsal to do that.
I could do that.
Right. So I don't want to blame everyone else. I mean, it's just that I guess all I want to say is, yes, I tried it. I knew that, of course I knew there was a huge possibility for failure. And at least if you listen to the critics, you know, they didn't like what I did. But I'm not gonna, it's not because I was going to school, because I was stretched thin, because I was high on marijuana, or because I was trying to sabotage the Oscars.
There's none of that.
No, I went out there and tried to deliver those lines as well as I knew how. And like I said, I have faith in myself as a performer, so I just did the best I could with what I was given. And that's it. I mean, I never dreamed of becoming the best Oscar host. In fact, I'm glad I'm not the best Oscar host. So, in a way, it was kind of an experience, but I guess the thing that's upsetting, or the thing that makes it so uncomfortable to talk about is that the critics were so vicious afterwards. But like, why do they care so much about the Oscar host? I mean, it's a hypocritical thing. Like, no, everybody complains about how the Oscars at the end of a long award season and that they're always boring, they're always too long, and that they don't care about the Oscar presentation anymore. But then, if you don't do it right, then it's their excuse to like go after you. And so it's just a weird thing. It's like, I'm being criticized for something that I honestly tried my best at, but I also, like, you know, don't care that I wasn't the best.
I will never mention this again. Let me ask you this finally. We're here at Brown. This is a film festival. If you and I came back here in 10 years, what do you think you'd be doing? Where do you think you'll be? What are you, 32, 33?
I just had my 33rd birthday.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
33. You'll be 43. No?
Yeah.
George Clooney is celebrating soon his 50th birthday.
Really?
Well, he's a director.
Yeah.
Screenwriter.
Amateur basketball player.
Amateur basketball player.
He's the
well,
coffee dude in Europe.
No, but he's done a lot in terms of Sudan. He's put a satellite in the air to watch troop movements.
No, incredible.
You know, but I'm saying he's
I really
50.
love what.
So 10 years
he
from
said
now,
one thing, like, you know, yeah, you don't have to just sell things with celebrity. You can actually do some good things.
Exactly.
And he's been doing some amazing things.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring. I mean, I think I'll just be doing more of the same.
Of course, you'll then be Dr. Franco.
I will. I'll be teaching, but I'm going to be teaching next year. So I think it'll just be...
Where are you teaching next year?
At NYU, in the graduate program.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But you're teaching now this editing program. What's it called? Just tell me.
No.
No, please, just tell me the title.
It's not true.
No.
You've just been reading the blogs.
No, I haven't. It's not true.
I did a project with my friend who teaches at this school called Columbia School of the Arts
in Redwood, California, somewhere.
Tarzana,
Carl.
near LA.
Yeah.
He's an editing teacher.
What was the name of it?
I don't even know what it's called because I didn't title it. And it was a project where, because Tyler Dana is my friend, he has done a lot of these video projects with me, and shot a lot of these things, he has all this material of me. So the project was to lend my persona and have these editing students cut together that material in any way that they like. And so it's material just like this right now.
Right.
It's material of little projects that I've done that nobody's seen. It's home movies, everything. To examine just how a person behaves in different environments. And I think that's it's when you say the silly title like Editing James Franco with James Franco or something like that, it sounds like the most self-centered.
I didn't say that.
It sounds like the most self-centered thing in the world. Like I'm there saying, doing like this, like, and I want you all to note the date I, got my first acting role or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
It's not that at all. It was actually a very vulnerable act, saying, here is my life, and you can cut it up and make me look however you want. Because, frankly, that's what all these news outlets, reviewers, movies, these promotional tours, they're all framing me in different ways, and it's sort of me, but it's also kind of not me. And so I wanted to just give it to a bunch of filmmakers and say, all right, what do you kind of make of it? But also bring themselves into it. So they're a big part of this movie. It was a group collaboration, and there's a film now. But it's not. But I just did 2 Skype phone calls. It wasn't like I was lecturing about myself.
It seems to me that you are living proof of the examined life.
Yeah. I just see it as a way to take some ownership over me and my life. I went into acting. I wasn't unaware that it would, if I became successful, put me in something of, in the public eye to a certain extent. But by examining it in the ways that I'm doing, it's a way for the actor, for me, the actor, to take back some control. And I get calls from studios that I'm working with, or I don't, but my manager does, like, just tell him he's a movie star, tell him to be a movie star. And what that means is, shut up, don't say anything that rocks the boat, don't, just go and act your roles and then promote the movies in a funny and charming way. That's what be a movie star means. And it's not like I want to go on the Charlie Sheen tour and just, I don't know what he says at those things. I have no desire to go and just be wild and crazy and just for the sake of it. But I also am not happy having a lot of other people shape who I am and tell me how I'm supposed to be.
At Brown University, please join me in thanking James Franco.
That was good. Good? Yeah.